To begin with that breaking news in New Jersey, a monster 10-plus alarm fire, it keeps building overnight, has been tearing through a recycling plant on the coldest night of the year. This is exactly 2 years after another huge fire burned through a landmark in the state. Firefighters dealing with similar freezing conditions to battle this fire. Let's get right over to Eyewitness News reporter Marcus Solis, who is live in Passaic, New Jersey. Marcus, good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. Something about January 30th. Indeed, this is now considered an 11-alarm fire, as there are departments from 20 surrounding communities here in Passaic. And this is what it looks like. The flames that burning out of control at the Atlantic Coast Fibers Company. There's a warehouse here in Passaic. The fire breaking out just after 11:30 last night, growing to 11 alarms. Now, this is a company that processes thousands of tons of recyclable material, including paper and cardboard, certainly helping fuel the flames that firefighters have battled through these frigid temperatures during the overnight hours. Now, this comes, as we said, on the 2-year anniversary of another massive warehouse fire at the Markel paper plant in Elmwood Park. That warehouse going up in flames in 2019, and it took firefighters in that case, in that fire, 12 hours to bring it under control. This fire now going on 7 hours and still not yet under control. No reports of any injuries here in Passaic. We're live in Passaic. Marcus Solis, Channel 7, Eyewitness News.
We welcome the mayor of Passaic on the phone right now, Mayor Hector Laura. Good morning to you. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Good morning. Well, it's been a challenging morning for us.
Mr. Mayor, what can you tell us about what is unfolding at the scene and any early indication of what started the fire?
So obviously that remains under investigation under the direction of our fire chief, Patrick Trenacross. We've had over 25 fire companies respond right after midnight. This fire began. Obviously, weather conditions made it a challenge, and we have a real problem ahead of us because we're utilizing a Neptune system that just arrived at that of Linden, where we're going to get water out of the river because it became so necessary to utilize additional sources of water in order to combat this fire. The building is a complete loss. It's been burning throughout the entire night, and it's still burning. We're going to be here for a few days dealing with this.
Can you give us some idea, you know the area, what's nearby? No houses? I mean, we're hearing that it hasn't spread, thank goodness, because of the diligent hard work of firefighters all night long. What's in that area, and do you have any idea how many people work at that plant?
So we're dealing with literally hundreds of individuals in terms of the plant and obviously structures next to it. You are right. The big concern that we had was that it would spread. But again, our firefighters locally and those that responded from Bergen County and all over, 25 companies, they've done a remarkable job nonstop. Just hitting the fire at every direction in order to contain it in that structure, but it continues to burn. As I'm assessing more information, we're talking about hundreds of employees that were impacted in the area. We have different sites. There's a chemical factory near it, which obviously would have been a much bigger concern, especially with the residents. But it is mostly factories, mostly plants, and no residential in the immediate vicinity of the fire. And we're hoping it stays that way.
Now, Mr. Mayor, forgive me if you don't know this in this early part of this firefight and then what will be the subsequent investigation, but following the fire 2 years ago, did the city learn anything in particular about that plant fire that perhaps could aid firefighters or investigators in this incident this morning?
I mean, obviously, we come in already taking all of the appropriate precautions, but when you consider a recycling plant, everything inside is conducive for continuing to burn. I mean, recently we saw a truck that exploded because it had tanks of gas on it. We're aware that when we're dealing with these more commercial buildings that there are certain materials, certain chemicals, and obviously gas tanks, diesel tanks that become a major concern. Obviously, temperatures weren't helping last night. We were dealing with pocket fires in the area because of the winds. You know, sometimes we assume because it's not a residential area, it's an easier fire. There are occasions where the industrial or factory or commercial buildings pose greater challenges and threats to the areas because of the potentials of explosion and the fact that it continues to burn. Almost everything inside, as I mentioned, I'll reiterate, is conducive for burning, so it takes so much manpower. Our firefighters are remarkable. I call them heroes all the time, because that's what they are. You know, throughout the incident, the adrenaline is pushing them through. But you see it once they tap out and another firefighter comes to take their place, they collapse. We've had to take a firefighter to the hospital because of exhaustion, one because they fell. So that becomes a major concern as well for the firefighters.
Mayor Laura, thank you so much. You've got to be exhausted yourself. Thank you so much for being with us. Scary situation, but thank goodness not a lot of injuries. These firefighters have been working so hard overnight. Thank you.
We keep our firefighters and their families in our prayers. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.